Let's see. They're about to cancel the project. They're about to cancel the beginning of Arcane, the TV show. An intervention was staged. Chris is in trouble.
Managing Fortiche is like, sometimes I feel like a band manager. Like, guys, you're doing whatever you want, but I want you on stage at this time for the concert and the gig. And they're always on time at the end. So you have to trust them. 2-0! So we are in 2017, and everybody is working really hard to deliver the pilot. And then we had a discussion with Riot, explaining to us that we're not happy with the script, with episode 2 and episode 3. At the end of the call, we were like, have they really said that? I think we have misunderstood them. When we arrived in LA, and then it was, hey guy, yes, we want to do a pause on the production, put everything on hold. We were like, oh my gosh, that was true.
It probably went the opposite way for Dragon's Blood. What do you mean? Valve called in the animators and said, we're very happy with episode 2 and 3? You mean like that? And then they're like, no, it can't be true. It can't be true. Let's fly to Seattle. And they flew to Seattle. And they're like, oh, it's true. They're happy with it. Okay. And then they went home. You meant like that? The opposite, Gusky? I mean, why would you? Anyway.
Everything is going to shit right now.
I guess that was pretty much at the point where they had drafted together a couple of scripts and sort of a show bible for the entire season. The next thing I know, Christian mysteriously gets pulled into a meeting, and then it was like a strange intervention where a bunch of other rioters basically told him that it sucked. It was such a blow to the team to just feel like, man, we're being told to stop completely and potentially even find different showrunners, different writers for the whole thing.
You know, you've been killing yourself, you know, to try and make it work and try and figure it out. And you, like, just, I mean, your first thought, of course, is just like, is it dead?
We were really only able to hire all these animators with the promise that there would be a full season to work on. Because, you know, they're very, very talented, and you really only get them if you have something kind of worth committing to, you know, like a multi-year project.
And so we just kind of had this feeling like we're gonna have to tell all these people that we just hired, they have to be like, which just, I don't know, it's just like the worst thought.
I think Alex and I just felt like we suck. Like we failed. You know?
Christian's a tortured artist who can't let himself not do something great. Like he will will it into existence because he will beat himself up and lose sleep and go crazy.
There were a lot of times during my career at Riot so far where I needed someone like Brandon or Mark to explore some pretty wild ideas. You know, where a lot of people would say, like, no one in the video game industry has full-time composers, you know, like we can just hire someone from the outside as a freelancer to make some music for us.
Yeah. But
or why would we make music
Riot
videos?
does,
That's
right?
insane, you know, like video game companies.
Doesn't Riot do both? They have in-house full-time musicians and they contract out people for single jobs.
Don't make music videos. Back then, it was Mark and Brandon who kind of saw the idea and like how awesome this could be, and they took bets on, you know, me being able to figure it out. So then,
you know what it feels like? It feels like Riot is, and maybe thanks to visionaries like Chris or whatever, Riot seems to, and I hope it works out for them, by the way, Riot's experiencing a kind of broadening of the scope of what entertainment media means for them as a gaming company in a similar fashion that if you open Twitch, the biggest category is not a game, but a talking category, which is what we're now in as well. Right? Twitch was Justin TV, where it was everything. It was like IRL streaming. Then it became Twitch, just gaming, and then the scope widened again. And now we've got cooking and hot tubs and so on. Yeah, beach and pool, exactly. But like many things, right? And so they're like, okay, we're not just games, we're also music. And I hope they make good money with that so they can keep doing it. We're also music, and now we're also animation, and we're TV shows. They could become like a big media company, not just gaming company, but like everything.
In the meeting, everyone left. It was just Brandon and me, and basically, I think Brandon kind of took like the moment to kind of tell me, hey, like, we'll figure it out. You know, like, we trust you. You know, like, we'll figure it out. And I just started crying.
Christian's biggest fear is letting players down. He crushes himself over it. It's actually painful for those closest to him to sort of watch, and it gives you so much respect and appreciation and ultimately trust in what, you know, he decides to take responsibility and ownership for.
Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about our decision to delay the further production of the follow-up episodes of Arcane.
I remember I think I recorded like 16 different versions of this video because I just always was just kind of sitting there like,
And I wanted to give you guys some more information about it, you know, why, what our plan is, and so on. And I'm sure you've heard from...
We did not show this. The question was, if we start with that, everybody will cry, everybody will jump out of the window.
I finally made a version of the video that I felt like was okay, and I sent it to them, only to learn a few weeks later that they were like, yeah, we never showed it to anyone because you just look so depressed. You look like you want to kill yourself. Like, how could we ever show that to anyone?
So it was like a harsh time.
Just keep working on episode 5, 6. Just work on episode 4, 5, and 6. Don't tell anyone. Tell them payments are a little late. We're working on why. That's actually the standard way to do things in games and esports. Source. Two team owners did that with me. They get some message that the sponsorship is over. And they just pay you a half a year late with last year's sponsorship. And they hope to keep you on long enough to get new sponsors. Yeah, just make the next episodes. Don't tell anyone. It's bad for morale. Like, yeah, they're not going to get paid. Maybe they won't get paid at all and you'll go bankrupt. But for now, people are still happy.
Harsh time.
Just 1 more week.
So we had to let the team go.
Of everyone in Harmony.
Which is always very painful. You're not sure they're going to be able to come back because if they go to another production, you might lose them.
We knew that we wouldn't have work for them for the months to come. So we started talking to different teams at Riot and started asking people, hey, is there anything we can do, like a music video or anything that could just keep, you know, the lights on at Fortiche. We talked to the esports team and there was a desire to make a music video.
If you make this one very, very good, maybe they'll want you back.
And
you need to go all out on this.
There's a desire to make a music video. Which became the Rise music video. And then we started talking to the music team, and they were working on something like a crazy idea about a K-pop group.
I just watched this yesterday.
So they did 2 music videos with us, which I think are still some of the best, if not the 2 best, on our YouTube channel.
Thank God, Alex and I are shit at our jobs, because if we hadn't taken that extra time to develop the story, the KDA Popstars music video and the Rise music video would have never happened.
Ces deux clips nous ont permis aussi de résoudre certains petits problèmes techniques qu'on pouvait avoir qu'on avait pu avoir sur le pilote et d'affirmer un peu plus le style de la série.
So, you're welcome.
Poor cripple from the Undercity.
The real version.
I was an outsider the moment I stepped foot.
This looks better, gotcha.
I didn't have the benefits of a patron or a name. I simply believed in myself.
At that point, the idea was I had to replace myself as like the person in charge of figuring out the story. Of course, it was me and Alex, but I was responsible. We just knew we had to hire someone who's experienced as a showrunner and as writers and that kind of stuff. And that's what we tried to do.
Ooh.
Except we couldn't really find anyone.
Nor can most shows these days. Because I guess they feel like they're not getting paid enough. And then the shows just be like, oh, well, we'll just send in the actors and say, figure it out, just speak. Yeah, Game of Thrones Season 8, Netflix for many shows. They just don't hire script writers. They make it up as they go. Star Wars. The Star Wars films. They don't plan out a trilogy. They're just like, we'll just subvert expectations every next one. It's like, oh, this guy's on an evil villain arc. Redemption, because it subverts expectations. Cool.
6 years ago, if you pitched that the video company was gonna do like an animated series that is looking for like drama screenwriters, no one really showed up.
Because they see all the shit we turned out.
People were in for the wrong reasons, where it's like, well, I mean, League of Legends and Riot is big, but they didn't really care about the characters that much.
Ooh.
So we looked for quite a while, and at some point...
You need to poll your player base. You need to go to the League Reddit and ask them.
We just felt like maybe we'll just kind of have to try again, but be less shitty.
And then, yeah, I mean, it was just start over, like kind of look at what we do. That's when we started talking to showrunners, like who could we bring in to just be an advisor.
That's when we found Monica Macer. She was a showrunner. She worked on Lost, was someone who was really passionate about mentoring people, and she really helped us find the right way to realize our vision, without necessarily being like, here's what you have to do. More just about here's all about the process of.
I liked Lost Season 1, but then after Season 1, I didn't think it was that good. I stopped watching.
How to craft a season, how to think about developing characters.
Yo, Witty, thanks for the raid. Yo, I'm about to react to your video you worked on for 85 hours after this.
And then we hired...
I'm looking forward to it. I saw you benefited from the new AI voice acting trend. Before, when Witty made these cinematics and he added his own dialogue lines, it was always like, Jaina will be like, oh, Arthas, how could you do this? Bobby, Witty would use his own voice and be like, oh, Bobby, how could you do this? He'll just interject his own voice in order to make the dialogue work, the voice acting. But now, because of AI, you can actually make them say things.
A bunch of writers who'd worked in various capacities in TV. So, Amanda was one of those writers.
Oh, good boy.
It's so good. It's so good.
You good boy.
You're like always trying to get into the heads of your characters in any way you can.
Good boy.
I did have one of the writers teach me how to shoot a gun, like a sniper gun, right before I was gonna.
I don't think that's how you
one of the
shoot a
writers
gun.
teach me how to shoot a gun, like a sniper
That's not how you shoot a gun.
gun, right before I was gonna
Oh.
write Caitlin's episode last year.
Hell yeah. I'll take you to the ranch, show you how to shoot a gun. I've been to a ranch once in Texas. I fired some firearms, guys. Me, a Dutchman. Ram ranch? No, there were no rams. No animals of any kind, in fact.
We're in my house, and I have a little office here where I do my writing.
Nice. Can you show me that?
Sure. Through the kitchen, into my nook. I have these lights I turn on at night to sort of inspire me.
Fairy lights?
There we go.
Yep. I got fairy lights too.
They'll have scripts that they'll send over to you as kind of a sample of their work. And Amanda, I think with hers, it was comic book, video game, science.
This is so depressing. No, she is, I think, not very used to doing live streaming content. So she's like a bit awkward and self-deprecating. There's nothing depressing about it. It's just because it leaves like it just, trust me, it just comes from like a comfort place. She's more nervous than the average live streamer on camera. That's why it ends up looking sad, because they don't know how to fill the space with quiet, right? So they'll do like a little nervous giggle, and then you actually think like, oh my god, she's so lonely. But like, it's just because that's just the impression that it raises within us. But you can't actually tell anything. Maybe she's just like yeah, of course, but like it can be self-deprecating personality in general, but I think a lot of people that are uncomfortable in front of the camera do that automatically. Like, there's a lot of people that couldn't do this. Like, for a minute, they would feel uncomfortable because they know people are watching. I don't care.
Scientist, and her story was about a future world where we've colonized the moon. And I was like, this seems like it could be a good fit for us.
I would prefer not to have a punching bag in my living room, but that's just what we do right now. So I actually never thought about how my kung fu translates to learning how Vi's a fighter.
Rotten luck, boys.
But there's a fight scene in episode 5 of season 1, which is the episode I wrote. One of the things I'm like so proud of is it's like between two women with like a different body type, like both like really muscular. They're doing moves that you haven't necessarily seen women do before on screen. I always think of fight scenes as like being just like another talking drama scene. Like there has to be a turn, there has to be motivations, you have to learn something new about the character in the fight that you didn't know before.
That makes sense.
I'll give her your regards.
For a show, anyway. That's not how real life fights are. But...
And then, of course, she's saved by another woman. 3 women in a fight scene. It's fucking dope, so.
Amanda has a really honest voice in her dialogue that is just really grounded emotionally. I remember this moment when Alex and I were really wrestling with the last word.
Yeah, diversity poggers. I mean, I know some people are going to feel that way. I think there is artificial diversity, but I also think there's value in it as well. I don't think you need to like feel threatened by it. Like sometimes it's done wrong. Usually the way it will feel like it's done wrong, the way it should feel done wrong, if it's done to achieve that objective, 1, and 2, it is done it is executed very poorly, right? Man has a backstory and goes from being a street bumpkin to being an amazing fighter via rigorous training. You take the same story, preferably a different story, right? Give women their own story. Don't only give women roles that were reprised by a man and now be like, now a woman is Batman. It's like, that's a bit weird. A woman is Batman now. You know it's going to happen someday. And that kind of sucks because they're not given their own story, right? But eventually there'll be a woman Batman because someone will think it's never been done before. It's going to at least be talked about. It will be hated by misogynists, right? And it will be hated by, toxic men and so on, right? And fuck them. And women power. Women can be Batman. It's going to happen someday, and it's going to probably be lame, right? But there's nothing wrong with making a scene with 3 powerful women and a woman saves someone and they fight each other, etc. That's all fine. Has that already happened? No, that's Batwoman. Eventually there'll be a woman that's Batman. There's already a woman Batman. Right, but I mean wait, what? No, not Batwoman. A woman being Batman. Anyway, that's gonna happen someday too. And hopefully there'll be a man being Batwoman someday too. Huh? Batwoman? No. But yeah, that would make it Batwoman, that's true. Anyway. What is he saying? Let's move on. The lame part is where you have 2 roughly equivalent stories, and you've got a man being a country bumpkin, becoming an amazing fighter via training, and you get the same story. A woman is just an amazing fighter because women are also strong, right? And now she's super powerful because woman can do anything if you want, if you believe in yourself. And the premise here is rigorous training and an evolution arc. And the premise here is women can be just as strong as men. That's a shitty story because it sucks. right? There's no evolution. You take a woman and you give them a story of growing up to be a great fighter. It's great. Blue-Eyed Samurai is an example of a pretty damn nice story, good animation, a woman growing up via training and hardship and then becoming a great fighter. Nothing wrong with that one. No one's complaining there. It's like, well, okay, yeah, her body build seems small for what she can do, but I mean, it's fine, right? Like, it's believable because you can see how much training went into it, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, that story is great. I love that show. And one thing I noticed, and it's a banger, right? One thing I noticed, I watched it with my wife. I could tell my wife was more into it as well, into the character, than someone like Ichigo, now from Bleach. Now, to be fair, Ichigo from Bleach is a whiny bitch. And then eventually he's like, okay, I'll win, I guess, right? So he's not as likable as well. But when it comes to both of them training from nothing to become more powerful, it's also Ichigo's a man, right? Blue-Eyed Samurai is a woman. I could tell my wife was more into it also because of the sex of the main character. And that is why it is valuable to have a diversity of different superheroes, people of color, right? Different genders, different sexes. It's fine. We shouldn't look at a woman superhero and be like, oh, well, there's another diversity. Or it's like, oh, my God, a scene with 3 women. It's only because of diversity, because it's clearly not, because it has actual artistic value, because they built out the story for all the characters and so on. So, yes, you can continue to be critical of poorly made female characters, like the Galadriel in Rings of Power. She's just unlikable, right? Very unlikable because she's just not well written. There you can say, okay, someone is trying to make a female boss with the political agenda of the diversity of like having a kick-ass female superhero, but it's done so badly that we're hating on it, but not hating on it because it's a woman, because Galadriel in the original was fine, right? We're hating on it because it was badly done. And then they will call you a woman hater for hating her part in the show, but you're not. You're just, I mean, some of you, hopefully, some of you may feel that with any female part, but I ask you to look inside yourself and to find a difference, to find what you're actually upset about, and try to see, is it actually just the quality that's shite? Yeah.
Words that Jinx was saying to Vi in season 1. And then like Amanda took the script and solved it in like, I don't know, an hour.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to. Even though I'm different. But you changed too. So, here's to the new us.
Amanda just wrote that, and Alex and I were just like, yep, that's it. we just couldn't do that, you know?
I think the biggest change from the way that we were looking at it before was it was very plot heavy, right? It's very focused on kind of like, what's the problem that has to get solved? Who's going to fight who? What I think most improved after kind of working with...
You know, that scene is so powerful because I think almost all of us have a story like that with one of our loved ones growing up. Like, I think you can recognize something in that. It's very good.
With these writers was sort of like the emotional story for the characters.
I'm quite proud of the cold open too, the like whole beginning of the season with the bridge. The cold open used to be the cold open from episode 3 when Silco was drowning.
Kind of sidetracked with that representation discussion. Yeah, I got a little sidetracked. Try to get back into it now.
I sort of went out on a limb being like, so guys, I know you hired me to help out with the show and whatever, but you need to change the pilot. That's a lovely poetic image, right? But it wasn't telling the story of the series, which is these 2 sisters being torn apart.
Different pilot.
That's when I came in as a CEO, taking this big role with the idea of becoming a multi-game developer and a multi-game publisher, which on its own is a really difficult challenge to go from that one hit to multiple games. And then there was this little curveball, and oh, and by the way, we have this TV show, which probably is going to cost us, you know, a massive 9-digit budget. There is a lot of risk in this.
To be completely honest, Niccolo and I were always on like completely opposite spectrums. He's a business person. He's someone who's just extremely smart in like a rational way. He doesn't really let himself get carried away by like his emotions or like by his own personal attachment to anything. And I'm the opposite. I always have opinions. I'm always, emotionally attached to the stuff that I work on. I'm an artiste, I guess.
Christian, actually, I remember bringing him in my office to say, hey, we've decided if we're gonna fund you for a full season. He had done the pilot, and we paused, and I told him like we're not gonna fund a full season for Arcane. And then I told him like I think it's really important you understand why, because you and I can be on a different page, but it's very important you understand where I'm coming from. And the reason I'm not going to validate you to move to a full season is because I'm going to allow you to move to multiple seasons. And so I kind of trolled him a bit.
He pulled a bit of a
You
prank.
bastards.
And I think he was really pissed at me for this.
I think that's cruel. I mean, it's funny, but I think it's cruel. Personally. I would rather people don't do this. Feels like, it doesn't feel that great. At the moment, it's cruel. Yeah, later it could be funny, but I actually think this could leave like a real stress scar. Make him feel betrayal so he can write Arcane better. Oh, it's motivation. Yeah, it feels like a power trip. Yeah. I think in that moment you enjoy having the power of their fate and their mood in your hand. That's my opinion. But actually, yeah, maybe he felt he needed to traumatize his lead musician in order to give him the proper depth to draw inspiration from. A lot of artists, look at Adele when she first burst into the scene, right? Adele made much better music when she first started talking about her love life and stuff. And then later it became boring. Still great voice, but a little bit of trauma helps a lot for the art, doesn't it? Needed to slap him down only to inflate his own ego. It feels a bit like that, yeah, like these kind of pranks.
So yeah, he definitely gave me the trust that I needed to build.
What he did? I'm making it sound like he like killed his dog or something, but well, he just said, I'm not gonna fund Arcane, the TV show, aka you're going to lose your passion project and hundreds of people are gonna lose their job. It's not gonna happen. But then instead, because I'm gonna fund multiple, it's kind of like the Key and Peele sketch where he's like, where they're pretending to be like one of those judges on the food cooking shows. What do you think, chef? This is absolutely awful. It is awful that you didn't come here and cook for us before. Thank you, chef. Because if you had, then I could tell you to stop investing your energy into cooking immediately, to stop wasting your time. I'm sorry, chef. Because you shouldn't be coming to cooking shows. You should have your own restaurant in New York City. Thank you, chef. And I would never eat there because I know that I would kill it with the competition with my restaurant because yours would be so bad. Sorry, chef. Wow.
Develop Arcane the way that Fortiche and our team at Riot needed to do it, which was not the easy way, but like really this like pursuit of like, hey, this is what we think our audience wants, and it's ambitious and crazy, but we need you to trust us, and he did.
You need to stay committed to players because
at some point you should be like, screw you, chef. You don't have the power to control my mentality any longer. I just lost all respect for you.
Nothing's going to be easy. There will be many moments where you want to give up. I know Christian went through this multiple times. We went through this multiple times, and you need to have the grit and the courage to continue for players.
As we were looking at trying to scale a lot more, and then we had season 1 in production, and we started to think about how are we going to do the first development of season 2 at the same time. That's when we started looking for someone to help figuring out the
Why would you start season 2 at the same time as you're doing season 1? I guess in part you're thinking about the story. He says start the production. Doesn't mean you're necessarily drawing it, right? But I guess this is how you get a more cohesive whole. This might also be part of the reason why sometimes trilogies of beloved fan franchises like the Star Wars latest films, they get like garbled because singular people that work on the production aren't sure if they're also going to be working on all of the parts. So they don't think and plan that far in ahead because they'd be doing someone else's work, and they don't even know if they're going to be allowed to finish it themselves. So you don't lose track. Yeah. Sowing seeds for plot points later on. Yeah, exactly. The first one took 5 years. Yeah. Need story goals. Concept artists need work too. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I guess in theory, if you knew you're going to do 4 seasons, then you could get some people to work way ahead if the vision is good, if the production is good. Makes sense. I wonder if they will do a 3. Do we know anything about that? All jobs don't work from Ep 1 to the end. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite complicated, actually.
The production scale a bit more.
It was tough because we couldn't find the right culture fit. A lot of people kind of shied away from like, hey, this isn't normal TV. This isn't normal animation. I think I'm just gonna go, insert any animation studio out there, right? But finally, one time I got connected with a woman named Melinda Dilger.
Hey guys, come on in. Welcome to Casa de Dilger.
Hey, you know what? I was in a house that looks like this once. Short Round. Okay. Do you guys know Short Round? Warcraft 3 player? I was at this place in 2004. This build, I think this is a little bigger. It was a San Francisco house. San Francisco 2-story house with a rooftop balcony as well. This little like construction, the way that these stairs go up a little bit there and then go up again. I wonder if this is in Frisco.
Casa de Dilger.
But it wasn't like art and paintings and white and everything. It was like woody. I think it was a woody color.
I work here because of COVID. This is Willie Nelson. He's the boss of
Arcane. I work here because of from at home, yeah.
Right here. He's in all the meetings. He loves it. He loves his job. Yes.
I just loved talking to her. She had such a warm energy. She just also had experience. Like, I mentioned some of the issues that we were dealing with, and she seemed unfazed by it.
This is where all my meetings happen. It's very exciting. This is where I burn off my energy, and I got...
Wait, why is there a censored painting? Oh, I guess they're just protecting the privacy.
Meetings happen. It's very exciting. This is where I burn off my energy, and I got that when I worked on Mary Poppins Returns.
It's all blurred.
Which is kind of cool, yeah.
I remember sitting down all of the stakeholders, and I think I literally told them, you better not pick this up. I like her, she's awesome. If you pick this up, I'm gonna kill you.
No
I was
copyright.
producing by the time I was 24. That was when I was really young. I worked on Darkwing Duck. That was my very first animated show.
Hey, you're 24, Kakvera.
To be on as production assistant. I was working on Goof Troop, Aladdin. I won an Annie Award. That's kind of a big deal right here. This is very proud of this. Very nice.
What's Annie Award?
I know whenever people tell me, they're like, oh my gosh, I watched that as a child. I'm like, oh, I'm so old. But it's okay. No. It's okay. You know, now everybody looks at me and they say, we're so glad we have somebody with so much experience on the show, which really equates to old, but it's okay. I can take it, you know.
Experienced
Riot's a very
gamer.
young company.
Don't ever call me that.
All right, I think you've had enough, mate.
Yeah, the team health when I first started wasn't so great. Everyone was like, I was like, man, this team, they need some loving. They need some loving.
Making the show that we kind of set out with Arcane, you know, with the right designs for these characters that work in our IP, you know, this fantasy world. The pursuit of creative work is complex. If your expectation is that you're gonna work on something creatively where you're gonna have no pressure or no feeling of like being overwhelmed at times, then you're working on something the world is gonna forget.
Arcane won 9
By
awards.
then, I think
Wow.
I was super exhausted because I was like 3 years into the project or something. I know Christian was exhausted, Alex's beat, and like she brought in that new energy and just sort of this like, yep, let's pick it up and let's go.
How are you guys feeling? Are you
Yeah.
exhausted?
Break or
Are you okay to keep going?
From what I was hearing, it was just taking them a long time to kind of get their bearings. And let's face it, Fortiche, our animation partner studio in Paris, they had also never produced a series. So you have a bunch of newbies trying to figure this out. And lo and behold, it is really a difficult process and it's a challenging one, even for those of us that have been in the business for a really long time.
If you get exhausted, you are low testosterone. Thanks, Hyperion, for sharing that piece of pseudoscience alpha male bullshit. True? Really?
A really long, important strategy meeting that
So true though? Is it? Are you ever exhausted? Are you always full of energy? Manana! Power thirst! Power thirst! You'll have so much energy! You'll make 300 babies, now in all new flavors like banana and gun!
All the questions of the universe.
I think you meant you're supposed to inject testosterone and steroids when you're tired. Yeah, maybe. I think sleeping is kind of a soy boy thing in general. Any sleepers in chat? Does anyone ever sleep? That's a real soy boy behavior. I don't sleep? Yeah. I just scream at sleep. If sleep starts to happen to me, I start like nodding off, my eyes start closing. I'm like, ah! Ah! No! No sleep for me. Because I have too much testosterone to ever feel tired.
That was a Rosebud meeting.
For Riot and beyond.
Anyway, back to the video.
Rosebud
You're
meeting.
missing the Rosebud.
Melinda was always someone that is extremely inspiring to the team and creating a team atmosphere where it's okay when things are tough, as long as you just kind of believe in the team and have the right dream together.
Like, well, you can get everything in New York like that. Oh, gee. Oh, God, I can't. Oh.
See, you guys didn't think you'd be on behind the scenes, and here you are. There's Eric Bergman, our post supervisor. Hi, Eric's used to all the publicity. Eric, you're on mute. See, this is what we do every Zoom call.
Hello.
Somebody's always on mute.
Oh man, dost thou even stream? Is this true, guys? Those of you that have Zoom meetings, someone always on mute. Classic.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
I just came in and kind of rolled up my sleeves and went from
Yes.
department by department, just trying to get everybody together and get to know each individual on the team as a person.
This is a French studio, and there's no wine, but you have IPA.
It's like there's two teams, the beer team and the wine team.
Well, where's the wine?
And that's part of building team trust. And then you can start to actually solve the problems.
What's this documentary about? It's about me.
Dig deep. That's what you got to do. So this is our production schedule. In March of 2020, that's when this started.
It's about Arcane.
And then it goes all the way through the last episode. Because this is the first series Riot's ever done.
Whoa. How can anyone make sense of this?
A lot of things are getting figured out
International dubbing,
and developed.
music, song, producers. Actually, I've had schedules like this when I worked on some Blizzard broadcasts. Initially, when I did casting for Blizzard in 2005, 6, 7, 8, actually I didn't cast in those years, no. I cast mostly for Blizzard from 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, from between 2011 to 2018, I did a lot of casting for Blizzard for StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft 2. And initially, we just did our thing. It was kind of like Home Story Cup or stream style. I know what to do. I pretty much skip the tutorial and I just cast and I tell nerds about nerd things, right? And I think like the final year or so, we started having stuff like this because they brought in people from the real world, from sports and television and stuff. And then stuff like this. I still skipped the tutorial. I'm not even going to begin to try and understand this. I'm just a pretty face there anyway. I don't have to do the host thing. I just cast and talk about games and characters and abilities and stuff. But yeah, like, I've seen this before. It doesn't make any sense to me.
As we go along in production, so it's taking a little bit longer than it typically would on a television series that's all thought out, everything's figured out way ahead of time. This is like, how can we make this more unique and more special than any other show on television? Let's take our time and do it right.
Resource
management. It takes us a little bit longer to get those scripts done. That's what we do.
There's a natural balance of power.
I respected people that can figure all those things out and plan it.
And you just...
I usually prefer being like a grunt, a cog in the machine than to plan stuff like this. I'm not that creative. I like grinding at something. Give me a job so I know what to do.
Gave everybody nukes. Congratulations, you fucked up, right?
This is the thing that's always been a little fuzzy to me, is just kind of how we end this episode with the Victor Singe thing.
Yes, I would love to bring Vi back into Caitlin's mind in this episode in some way. I wrote like something about missing Vi that I have not solved yet either.
And to kind of like take the IP that's there from the games and turn it into something really awesome for television is a challenge. They're going to spend more money than most people to get it there, but they're doing it because they love the players and they want the players to be happy. And it's special. It's like you don't just see them as these little tiny things walking across the screen. By putting them on television, they have soul and they're deep and you can relate to them.
Actually, I haven't had
one of the biggest questions we had, though.
I haven't had an MMO capture me recently, Diablo. Last one was Guild Wars 1. I wonder if Riot MMO will ever come out and if it's going to be good for me. I know it's going to be good for a lot of people, probably. I wonder if it will be for me.
Can this be sustained over 6 hours? Will people watch something like this and fall into the immersion of the animation?
Do you actually have that quality to mesmerize an audience by staring at two characters, not saying a word? It's all between them in the air and the emotions. We all want to take animation to this place of mature drama, subtlety and nuance, style and innovation, but it doesn't exist, and I think we together can do it.
Can they? Is Arcane going to be made? Part 2 now. This is part 2. You've been here for 4 hours, IMB. Aware. Shall we watch part 3? Let's watch part 3.